Hello, good evening and welcome. As David Frost once said, welcome to Forge from Iron, welcome to our post-match debrief. Please don't forget to drop a like on the stream, subscribe to that YouTube channel. Duke, what are they doing with the bell this week?
Molested it.
Molest the bell. Molest that bell with gay abandon. Do it. Go for it. Okay, and don't forget, guys, this is still a live campaign. You know the story, young Isla's battling neuroblastoma. This is obviously going to be in the link below the description on YouTube and Facebook. You can copy and paste it, put it onto your social media platforms. This young 7-year-old girl is battling neuroblastoma. Her family need funds to basically get through life as it is at the moment. It's a bit of a struggle. I think it's fair to say. You can probably appreciate there's a cancer that this young girl's got that she can't get treatment for in the UK. So, this family really does need our help. Put it onto your social media platforms. Let's keep the momentum behind it. If you are in a position where you can put a couple of quid into the pot, please do so. You've got the Just Giving link there. We would encourage you to give generously. And I thank you very much indeed for your attention as always. Duke, we turn our attention to matters at Villa Park as of yesterday afternoon, sir. 4-1 win away from home. This is becoming a nice little habit that we're getting into.
Yeah, I tend to start some of these videos off, Rob, with stuff that I've seen, obviously, across the social media verse, if you will. And I'm gonna quote someone yesterday. There's my friend.
Here he is.
My friend. Well, she will discuss our chat with a Chelsea fan over Twitter. I believe it was you. It was your Twitter handle. So we'll discuss the Chelsea fans Twitter rants yesterday. But no, I want to ask the question to the people in the live chat. 6 of you watching. Someone said on Twitter this morning, how long do we have to wait before we get too comfortable with currently what's going on? And I still have that feeling around me, and again, the person on Twitter said this themselves. When does this end? This feeling of not being sure what's going to happen at the weekend, and just enjoy the winning for winning's sake. We're not used to this. This is not something that we've ever regularly had to deal with. And right now, I'm kind of riding on a crest of a wave, whereas, some of these other so-called big six that have been watching the games expect to win every week. Yeah. I still don't expect to win every week, but I go into the weekends now really excited for the football.
It's really West Ham, isn't it? It's not what we're used to.
It is. I said to you the other day, Rob, I think we did the pre-match, the Spurs game. Yeah, but no, Jenny, you're right. And I'm certainly not going to disagree with that. And against you, I said to you, didn't I, on the Saturday, when we did the Spurs preview last week.
Yeah.
I'm now hating the games that are being played on a Sunday or a Monday. I'm hating it because I feel like we're missing something on a Saturday. Do you know what I mean? Don't get me wrong.
Kieran.
I love the fact that I get to watch the games now, because more often than not, we're going to be on telly when we have a Sunday kickoff. Unless it's one of the 2:00 ones where, unfortunately, tough shit, you ain't on TV. But for the most part, we're going to be on TV more often than not, and especially with the League Cup as well. We're all going to be televised. The games will be televised. So we're kind of looking forward. So we'll get to see us a lot more on telly. Whereas I don't get the opportunity to go. I'm not a season ticket holder. I find it very difficult to be able to get to the games on a regular basis. So this is fantastic for me on telly. But by God, I miss having to look at the scores on a Saturday afternoon at 3:00, or waiting for Jeff or one of the boys, or girls.
He won't be there for much longer now, will he?
Yeah, I don't want to go down that road just yet. Can we leave it? I kind of expect to hear Paul Merson going, "Oh!" or one of them moments.
Can you warn me when you're going to do that, for Christ's sake?
And like people are saying, Andy said there, he's going to take him a while to feel comfortable. Like Tommy says there, expecting the wheels to come off, and I don't want it to. I am acceptant now that we are a good side. I am acceptant now that David Moyes has changed us into a different side. Tommy said a bit earlier there about our away form.
It's crazy.
That was something that always used to let us down every season. There were times when it was, mid to high single figure away wins. That's not good enough for a club like West Ham and a club with the history and the fan base, etc. But here we are, and we're going to a notoriously difficult away day in Villa.
Mm-hmm.
And doing a job. Don't get me wrong, and we'll cover this a little bit more as we go. It wasn't all plain sailing, as the scoreline may suggest. But just wow, Rob. Wow is all I've got.
Yeah, no, I couldn't have put it any better myself. Wow, wow does it. Wow does it. So let's have a look, shall we, at the lineup that David Moyes deployed to the pitch at Villa Park. It's exactly what I said it was in the pre-match. Fabianski in goal, back four, left to right, Cresswell, Ogbonna, Zuma, Johnson in front of them. Declan Rice wore the armband with Thomas Soucek alongside him. The offensive midfield trio was Fornells, Ben Rama and Bowen from left to right, and leading the line in the number 9 position, Michail Antonio. It wasn't really a shock, was it?
No, I mean, listen, I'll be honest. I was working yesterday. I was in the kitchen up until about 5 minutes before kickoff, 8 minutes before kickoff, and I didn't even concern myself with. It's true. I didn't even concern myself with the lineup as I normally would. Watching the minutes count down until would have been, half past 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. It didn't interest me to worry about it because I felt, the video that we did on Saturday was going to be enough. That was the team we were picking, and that's what we were going for. And to look at it, mate, bang on. And he got it right. Let's not mess around. He seems to be doing it a hell of a lot more. He's getting it more right than wrong.
And not just the starting lineup, Duke, in fairness. He seems to be getting substitutions. I mean, we'll cover that, obviously, as we talk about the game. But even his substitutions yesterday were spot on.
He's learning, mate. He's learning. And as I put yesterday, and as you liked my tweet, it took David Moyes to manage a big club.
There you go. And we are, as we know, effing massive.
We are effing massive. As you sent me the picture, new satellite photos from the moon show just how massive we are. But he's getting it, mate. Listen, I don't even think Midas could have turned everything to gold that David Moyes is doing right now. He's everything he's doing seems to be working out. Again, picking up on something that someone else put on social media, and I believe Gio over at Hammer's Chat may have touched on it. It just goes to show that David Moyes wasn't considered a manager, a desirable manager. And
certainly
West
not
Ham,
after Sunderland and everything, was it?
No, and West Ham certainly don't have in other teams' eyes, let me clear this up, any desirable players that they necessarily want all the time they're in a West Ham shirt anyway. And again, I'll touch on that again a bit later. Yeah, they've gone and he's gone and turned this team into something special. Whereas you've got, as let's be honest, when and if Spurs do appoint Conte, he's going to have a lot to work with regards to quality players, and there are some quality players in there. Don't get me wrong, I wouldn't pick any of them over what we've got at the moment, but Conte's got a lot to work with, but he's got some prima donnas there to work with.
Yeah,
he's got some arseholes that he's going to have to deal with when he gets there. Some of these players that certainly believe that they are bigger than the club that they play for, whereas every man that you see on the screen there understands that for the club to be as they are, they all have to be in tune and singing from the same hymn sheet, which Moyes has got them doing. I think we'll see a different Spurs side with Conte at the helm, but right now I don't give a shit. We are the. I won't say the biggest. No, I will. I'll say it. We are the biggest shock currently in the Premier League to everyone outside of our club.
I think that's a fair assessment, Duke. I really do. Let's go with the Villa lineup. I'll go full screen with that and get rid of that banner there. I didn't quite get it as correct as with West Ham, but of course I'm a West Ham fan, so I probably have got a better handle on what we're going to kick out than opposition. But I didn't do too badly. I put that Martinez was going to be in goal. I put that Target and Mati Kas, or Mateusz Gotowka, as his Polish name is, were going to be the fullbacks. I had Konza as one of the centre-backs, but I said that Tyrone Mings, given he's the club captain, it would be a fairly safe bet that he would be Konza's defensive partner. However, 'twas not to be. He found himself on the bench. And in his place, Courtney Holes, who obviously... There was an incident that involved both centre-backs later in the match, but again, we'll cover that. Marvellous Nakamba replaced Douglas Luiz at the base of the midfield three. Jacob Ramsey and John McGinn. John McGinn wore the captain's armband. And then in front of them, we had Leon Bailey, Ollie Watkins, and Emi Buendia. So I was pretty close. I didn't get Courtney Holes. I didn't get Marvellous Nakamba, and I thought he was going to drop Emi Buendia. Danny Ings was obviously a notable absentee. He was injured. Now, that massively helped our chances, didn't it?
I mean, listen, as Kent commented earlier, other than a 10-minute period, mate, we didn't look out of control in that game. I felt that we could have been a lot quicker to the challenges. I think that we should have been a lot quicker in closing down the gaps that they were playing into and running into. But other than that, and a bit quicker with our passing. Other than that, I thought the game plan worked.
It was a little bit dramatic, in fairness, Tom. It really was.
Again, I will come to my version of events on that one.
Yes,
and what he comments at the bottom as well. I've lost my train of thought, mate. Where was I? Yeah, no, executed perfectly. And I have great difficulty in finding I can't see anywhere where it's going to go wrong for us at the moment if we continue to do what we're doing. I really don't.
Well, it started off quite well. 7 minutes in, Declan Rice plays the ball to Ben Johnson, who'd got forward down our right-hand side. He's doing the dance. Look, he's doing the dance. You did that quite well, mate. Cuts inside. Let's go with a left foot drive. Went low to Martinez's right. Nestles in the bottom corner. and we're off and running 7 minutes in. Happy days, eh, Duke?
Get rid of the Villa. Get rid of the Villa thing. Come on.
Hang on. Get rid of that.
There we go. Look, we look better in big screen.
Yeah.
No, listen.
Well, you might. I don't know about me.
What pissed me off was Alan Smith on the commentary when he turned around and said that was a very soft goal for Villa to concede. Really annoyed me. I thought Ben Johnson knew exactly what he was doing. Knew exactly what he, the second he came inside, he knew he was shooting. And do you blame Martinez? No. Do you blame Target out there? Yes, all day long. Shocking defending. He needed to have definitely showed him down the wing. But for those who keep telling me that Ben Johnson always coming in on his favourite foot when he's out on the left, need to start ushering their noise now, because I saw him come in and let loose with an absolute rocket, a thunder sea. I'm not going to use the word, but
that's not a name that's familiar to me, sadly, Al. But
no, it won't be. Al's my cousin in America, and that's actually stopped me. That stopped me in my tracks there. If I may, Jerry Remy. I'm a Red Sox fan, obviously, as you guys might know. Jerry Remy was a former Red Sox player who passed away over the weekend. He was battling with cancer, and unfortunately, it claimed him over the weekend. Very, very good Red Sox player. Spent 7 years with the Red Sox, and then went on to spend a good couple of decades being a commentator on their games for one of the TV channels out there. So it knocked me for six when I saw that just before our game kicked off yesterday that Jerry Remy had passed away. Really, really fantastic bloke, great player. But yes, like a few others over the years, as obviously shuffled off this mortal coil and gone to the big baseball stadium in the sky, shall we say?
Yeah, well, as I say, I'm not, as you know, I'm not a baseball expert by any stretch of the imagination, but condolences to his family.
But that's another watcher from America, by the way. Just saying.
Yes. Yeah, Duke went through a little list of where what corners of the globe we've got into, and it's a ridiculous list, I've got to tell you. It blew my mind. But there you go. So 7 minutes in, we're 1-0 up. Happy days. Got better a few minutes later for us in a funny sort of way. Might not have realised it at the time, but 15 minutes in, they made a substitution, but due to an injury, with young Jacob Ramsey being withdrawn, and that old age pensioner Ashley Young. I was like, is he still playing?
Well, you know what? When they mentioned a couple of times, and it took me a while to cotton on. They mentioned his name a few times in the game, and I was like, yeah, it did, yeah. Yeah, it did. When they mentioned his name a few times, I was like, huh? And then I looked up and I was like, shit, that is actually Ashley Young. I was like, hang on a minute.
Old Ashley Young.
That's not quite right here. And yeah, I'll be honest with you, I was surprised he was still playing.
Yeah. But so that was, like I say, 1-0 up. They've already had to make an enforced substitution. But we get to the 34th minute, Duke. I've got to say, their equaliser, I'm sitting there watching it afterwards on slow-mo. Who the hell was meant to be up marking Ollie Watkins?
Kurt Zuma, I believe.
Well, he wasn't doing a very good bloody job.
No, but then I think because of what happened, I see some of the comments across social media, and Cresswell having a stroll back, and I think it was Fornells not wanting to commit because obviously being inside the box and everything else. that then brought as he's got round him, it's brought Bonner out of position to go closer to him. So then, as he's gone forward, as is your kind of definition with your centre backs, you're kind of attached around the midriff by a piece of invisible string. So as one goes, the other one comes with, and that's what's happened. And it's left Watkins unmarked penalty spot, and he's buried it. But that wasn't what concerned me, Rob, with that goal. That wasn't what annoyed me. Wasn't what really irked me with that goal. Even the greatest teams are going to concede goals like that. It's going to happen. It's part and parcel of a season. What annoys me is when the one player on the pitch that can use his hands goes down and sticks a foot out and tries to save it with his foot and actually deflects it away from his fucking hands. What? You're a keeper. You can use these things. You're allowed to touch the ball with your hands. I don't understand why he went down feet first with his body behind to have the ball deflect up off of his foot and away from his hands. I sat there. I watched the game in its entirety at my pub, and there was about 6 or 7 other West Ham fans with me, and we were all in the same, and they are all subscribed.
Good.
That we were all in agreement. Why is he going down like it was? And for me, that was the bigger mistake out of the two. Not the defenders, not necessarily marking Watkins in the box. And what Kent says there, good striker's goal, but piss poor defensively. You're going to concede goals like it. But for me, the fact that the goalkeeper goes down kind of backwards, putting his feet in front of him, which then obviously deflects the ball over his hands. I can't be dealing with it, Rob. I really can't. And for me, that was a mistake on his part. That was a mistake on Fabianski's part. You can disregard anything else in the build-up. It's a good striker's goal. It's a good pullback from the edge of the box with his hands, Rob. He's got to be saving that with his hands. I might be being overcritical, and if there's in the 18 people watching, if there's any goalkeepers in there or coaches or whatever, come back and come at me and let me know why you don't think it was his fault. But from where I'm standing, that was, on Fab.
Yeah, but 4 minutes, that was all that the parity lasted for Villa at that stage, because 4 minutes later, who stepped up? It's that man again, Declan Rice. We're seriously running out of superlatives for this guy. I mean, basically, Ben Rama's got the ball. There's nothing on ahead of him. He just shifts it sideways. Declan Rice gets the ball out of his feet. Let's go. What was it? 25 yarder? Bottom corner of the net. I mean, Martinez didn't see it till late, he was claiming. But he's just his first Premier League goal, but he's got a few goals this season. He's really upped his game. And that was possibly one of my reservations last season, that I said the one thing that concerned me is that would he be considered world class until he starts getting goals? Well, he's getting goals now, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm going to make one comment quickly, and it'll be the only positive thing I say about the man's performance yesterday. I thought Said Benrahma's hold-up play right before he laid the ball off, he held onto the ball just a little bit longer than a lot of us would have felt necessary to bring that second defender in towards him as he was dancing across their box, which freed up that space for Declan Rice to be able to take the shot. If he'd laid it out to him a bit sooner, the defender would have been standing in the way. So it's the one positive bit of football and comment that I'm going to say for Benrahma in this review. But Declan Rice's goal again, goalkeeper sees it late. I'm certainly not going to blame Martinez for the goal. There's a lot of bodies in front of him. in off the inside of the post. And, you know, we're 2-1 up. And now I'll cover what I was saying earlier. And I believe Andy, it was me and Andy that were going to town on this this Chelsea fan that was in the that was on Twitter, and someone made some page made a comment about Declan Rice being world class. Can we consider him world class yet? And I made my usual statement as I've said many times before. He walks into any team in the world in his position. As a deep lying midfielder, central defensive midfielder, call it what you will, he is the best at his age in that position, and will walk into any of the big sides. You know, right now, do you class Barcelona as one of those? Yeah, you have to, because they're Barcelona. They might not be doing what they're meant to be doing, but he'd walk into that side. Real Madrid, he'd walk into that side. Bayern, Dortmund, you know, PSG, he would walk into these sides. Now, I'm not saying he makes these sides better. What I'm saying is he complements these sides and brings something else to, you know, he's certainly better than their second, if you will. So he walks into that team. And then this guy decides to start throwing out a few names, and most of them were number 10s. Chelsea fans.
Apples,
so he throws
oranges.
Jorginho. Yeah, he throws Jorginho into the mix. Now, every fan, West Ham fan, will tell you now, Declan Rice is fresh shoulders above. He's above Jorginho in any of them stakes. And I actually said, kind of flippantly, that
I agree with that.
I feel that Declan Rice is the best in his position. Yeah. I think Declan Rice is the best in his position in the world at his age. And the guy came back with the likes of Kimmich and Goretzka. Verratti was in there as well. Okay, Kimmich would be one there out of those four, including Jorginho. Kimmich would be the only one that I would consider would be able to knock him off of that perch. And as I said to you before we went live, Rob, Kimmich is 26.
Yeah. So
he's got 4 or 5 years on Declan Rice, depending on what point of 26 he is. He's got 4 or 5 years on Declan Rice. And as you so rightly put, where was Kimmich at 22? Or where will Declan Rice be at 26?
Yeah.
And all I can say is at 22, Declan Rice is a better player than Kimmich was. And when Declan Rice hits 26, Declan Rice will be a better player than Kimmich is at 26. Kent has said 150 million quid, and I completely agree. What makes me laugh, I'm going to leave that one for you. I'm going to leave that one for you. We'll come back to that. God. Let me just finish what I was saying.
Tommy. Ooh.
I forgot what I was going to say.
Sorry, mate. I just saw that from Tom, and I was like,
what I was going to say. No. What's your opinion, Gacy?
Oh, that is putting me on the spot, isn't it? Right now, I would have to say yes, I believe so. But we're only going to know when we look back on their careers. I mean, you know, how many Premier League titles did Rio win? He's got a Champions League medal as well. 80-odd England caps. He captained his country. I mean, Rio did fantastically in his career. It's really only a question you can answer once Rice's career is finished. But I think if you're comparing Rice at 22 years of age to Rio at 22 years of age, Rice is... And don't get me wrong, Rio was a magnificent player at that age. So I'm not saying for 1 minute that Rio was crap. I'm not. But at the minute, I'm thinking Rice wins that one.
I see, going by what you've just said there, don't hate me, people. Don't leave the chat. don't unsubscribe.
That is true, Tom.
Comment
that is true.
Right, but I'm now going to make a comment that might make me hated on this channel. Oh, shit.
You always do this. Oh, hang on. I don't want to press that button just yet. Go on. What is it?
Do you put Frank Lampard in that equation as well? Based on that, based on trophies won, based on the goal scoring record that he holds at Chelsea, the Premier League midfielder, rada. You know, listen, as much as we hate him, he's got to be in there as being a fantastic academy product. You can't deny that, regardless of.
I suppose should we compare him to Rio or should we compare him to Frank, because he started as a centre back, which is what Rio's default position was, but he's moved into a central midfield, which is what Frank Lampard was by default. So, is the comparison to Rio fair? Should it be that we're comparing him to Frank Lampard? I don't know.
Again, I don't think there should be comparisons to the players that they are or what they become, because that's unfair. Because again, they are three different types of positions. You've got a centre back, and yes, Rice started there and has found his home as a deep lying midfielder, whereas Frank Lampard was a midfielder and then pushed further forward in his career once obviously he moved on from us as well. So, you know, it's very hard to judge the three of them on their positions as a default. What I would say is, like the other guys have mentioned in the chat, you know, Declan Rice will probably be judged on what he goes on to accomplish in the game with regards to trophies. You know, Rio won X amount of Premier League medals, cup medals, Champions League winner. Lampard, you know, highest goal scoring midfielder, I believe, in Premiership. Certainly at Chelsea. I think he's their top scorer.
He is their top goal scorer.
Yeah, he's bloody close.
Yeah, for a midfielder, that's ridiculous.
You know, I think he's the highest goals. Yeah, you know, so you know, when you consider Declan Rice is going to have a hard time topping that, and as you know, I think it was Tommy said, you know, he landed on his feet by going to a dominant club when the club were on the verge of becoming dominant. He was kind of like the shall we say, the last piece in the puzzle to help them become that stably solid side and everything else. I completely agree with Kent on that last comment. Declan Rice will be England captain, and I wouldn't be surprised if Declan Rice leads England to some sort of major trophy, you know, Euros or World Cup, doesn't matter for me. He will lift one of those in his career. Hopefully it will still be while he is a West Ham player.
Yeah. Getting back to the topic at hand, obviously discussing
what we're here for.
Yeah, we always do this, guys. You know how this works. We go off on a tangent and we start discussing pies and the price of, you know, pork bellies and shit. You know, that's just the way it rolls. So we get the goal, Declan Rice, 2-1, 38th minute. We see the half out, 45 minutes. I'd imagine, though, that despite the fact we're away from home and we've went ahead, got pegged back, gone ahead again, I'd imagine that probably David Moyes might have threw a few metaphorical teacups, if not literally. What would you think that would be a fair assessment of the first half? Defensively, I think we were not all that, you know, certainly not as watertight as we'd been in the previous couple of games.
Listen, we were. I'll just make a couple of notes to come back to. We weren't. I won't say at the races because that's not a fair assessment. We weren't quick enough into the challenges. We weren't quick enough in pushing forward and creating a playthrough like we did with Spurs, like we did with City in the cup game. We sat incredibly deep. We sat off of the players as well. You know, I get, as I've said before, when they come into our half, we tend to start closing down the space. All the time they've got the ball up their end of the pitch, we don't give a shit. Keep it up there, I don't care. Off you can't score from up there, it don't matter.
Yeah.
Yet when they come across the halfway line, we start to close the gaps. We start to pressure the man with the ball. We start to create a problem. We weren't doing that yesterday, and it was frustrating to watch. And as I said earlier, a few West Ham fans in the pub, and we were all of the same assumption or the same outcome with our conversations. We didn't bother with a lot of it. We let them come at us far too often. We let them invade the territory that normally we wouldn't allow to happen. Now, whether that was something that was, fatigue from the games that we're coming thick and fast, whether or not that was a tactical issue that Moyes has obviously issued, I don't know. But we just didn't seem to put the pressure on when the pressure needed to be put on the Villa players, and we just sat back too deep and exposed too much.
So we move into the second half, Duke. 4 minutes in, I'm going to deal with the two incidents in order. The first one, Courtney Hall's on Pablo Fornals. It was looked at by VAR. The on-field official played the advantage because the ball broke further forwards to then the second part of this. But we'll deal with this one first. Plays the advantage, but there was a Courtney Hall's arm and Pablo Fornals. I'm trying to be diplomatic. Courtney Hall's arm and Pablo Fornals' head come into contact with each other. By fair means or foul, that is up to you. Wasn't given a yellow card by the on-field match official, and wasn't deemed to be a foul by the VAR either. What were your thoughts?
If that had happened on the street, he gets arrested for assault. It's quite simple. It was disgusting. Pablo Fornals is very, very lucky not to suffer a severe injury there. That could have quite easily broken his jaw, could have quite easily cracked an eye socket. It was disgusting, and that's only because I really cannot use the words I want to use on this video. It was awful. There you go. It was deliberate. He knew he wasn't going to get to the ball. He turned his body. He looked back over his shoulder and he threw his elbow up and he caught him square on the jawline. I, honest to God, don't understand why the referee deemed it was okay to continue play, regardless of whether that ball fell to Jared Bowen. It was dangerous play. He endangered the safety of an opponent, which deems that the game is stopped immediately and the player is sent off. And how
also it's a head injury at the end of the day, isn't it?
And how VAR deemed that wasn't even in need of a yellow card pisses me off even more. And I really hope
that's kind of the thing. It's the on-field referee. You could kind of go, well, he might have seen it. But he's obviously seen that we're on the attack and he's trying to play the advantage. Whether you think he should have and shouldn't have done is open to interpretation. But let's give the referee the benefit of the doubt and say that he played a good advantage, whether you agree with that or not. But the VAR? How the hell did the VAR not go, listen, I think you might want to have a look at this because that's just not... That's
Mate,
just not on.
Even have a look. Not even have a look. He should have been fucking arrested on sight. Like literally, the police around the stadium should have walked onto the middle of the pitch and arrested him there and then. It was shocking, Rob. It weren't even like we can sit here and we can laugh about the way we're talking about it. End of story. Kent just said there. He could have ended up with Gary Mabbutt style injuries, and I remember that.
Yeah.
You know, again, if that's in the street, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
If this guy's
so
trying to run away from someone and I ran my elbow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So how the hell did VAR not? Yeah, I do sit there and go, the on-field referee, I might be able to give the benefit of the doubt to, but the VAR, come on, really? But okay, it wasn't even given a yellow card, ladies and gentlemen. That's the really shocking thing. Wasn't even a yellow. But okay, so the ball then breaks forwards. Jared Bowen, just outside the penalty area, is hauled back by Esri Konsa. It was originally given, again, by the on-field referee as a yellow. The VAR then looks at it and says to the referee, now that I think you might want to take a look at. He strolls over to the pitch side monitor, comes across and upgrades the yellow to a red. Now, again, your thoughts on that? You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
I see. I've had the pleasure of watching the thing with Dermot Gallagher on Sky this morning, and Dermot Gallagher agreed that it was a red. I didn't get to see what he said about the Fornells challenge, sadly, but then I listened to Stephen Warnock, and I believe what's the female player's name? Is it Sue Smith?
Yes.
Yes. So I'm in agreement with.
Oh, Tommy, can you warn me when you do that?
Jared Bowen's body shape, kind of angled him away from goal, which I think then Ashley Young would have been able to get round and make the challenge. Regardless, forget that for a minute.
But he was the last man.
I think he was. But what I will say is, I don't think he did an awful lot wrong with regards to all he did was put a hand on Jared Bowen's shoulder. He didn't pull him back. He didn't foul him as such. If we're on the receiving end of that, as West Ham fans, we're doing our absolute bollocks, Rob. We're doing our bollocks. If we're on the receiving end of that free kick and the resulting red card, we're going batshit as fans, because it's a very, very soft red, in my opinion. Okay. I'm not saying that everyone else has to agree with me on this one, but if we're, as West Ham fans, if we're on the receiving end of that red card and that free kick, we're doing a nut. That's me. That's my opinion. I might be in the wrong. I think it was a soft red. I'm not sure whether the referee felt that because he played the advantage, he couldn't go back and brandish the red card for Courtney Hawes, and that he had to do something here. But I think because he didn't give the initial foul against Fornells, something had to give, and whether or not
you think he was evening up the score.
I just think because he didn't go one way, he went the other.
Right.
And he's given the red there. I don't necessarily think it was a red card. I think it was quite soft. There you go. Kieran's nailed it there. Someone had to go, and for me, they sent the wrong person off. I've had time to think about it. At the time, I was screaming double red. I was screaming, both of the bastards have got to go. That's disgusting. Rah rah rah. The more I've gone back and I've watched more of the both incidences, I just think the referee realised that someone had to go, because he played advantage on the first one. It's going to be, unfortunately,
Konsa was the low hanging fruit, as it were.
Konsa was the easier option, so he's gone with that. I don't like it, and like I say, as West Ham fans, I think if we'd been on the receiving end of that, we'd have been doing our absolute nut. In fact, we've been on the receiving end of them. You look at the Souček one. With Mitrovic trying to get his arm over his head. we've been on the receiving end and we've done our bollocks. You know, it's an unfair sending off. Souček's one, we did our nut, and I just think that
Balbuena.
Balbuena. Yeah, see, and I agree with what the guys are saying. You know, Kent said it. I can't see an appeal getting upheld because they followed the letter of the law.
Yeah,
he's the last man. But again, as the players mentioned this morning on Sky, and again being a half decent player, shall I say myself, I can see where the
not that you like to talk about it.
His body shape was taking him the wrong way, and it would have taken him away from goal. Whether or not he would have got the shot away quick enough that wouldn't have allowed Young to come round and cover that space. I just, you know, it's difficult to work that out in your head without it actually happening. The referees pulled the, you know, the rescinding of the yellow, giving him the straight red. I think as a make-up call for ballsing up on Courtney Hawes. But at the end of the day, someone had to go, and there you go. It's a soft red. I'm not saying it's. Yeah, it's a soft red.
Yeah, yeah. And listen, Tommy, I agree with you. I think that the Courtney Hawes one, out of the two, that was the more shocking one. I think, you know, whether the sort of like the second one was wasn't what? Sorry,
it wasn't the final. It wasn't the final time that he attempted, you know, common assault.
Well, it wasn't just him, in fairness, and we'll come on to one little incident that happened actually in the build up to one of our last two goals. But there you go. Anyway, so 7 minutes after that particular incident where they're reduced to 10 men, you'd kind of think that at that point we should start to grow into the game and start to impose the sort of the numbers game advantage onto Aston Villa. Far from it. 57th minute, Matty Cash gets a throw in, and John McGinn gets a cross into Ollie Watkins, gets his header to the ball, and initially I thought it had just hit the crossbar, but when you looked at it on slow motion replay, it became apparent. And to be fair, you gave him criticism earlier, Lucas Fabianski. He made a magnificent save, didn't he?
Fantastic reflex stop. He did the same the previous game against Spurs from the Harry Kane header. Again, I'll give him credit where credit's due. That save kept us in front and gave us really the platform to build to go and get the other two goals that we got. That
was what I was going to come on to. That was what I was going to come on to.
That was the one I meant. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, brilliant save, great reflexes. And again, without. No, I won't leave it there. He's doing the job he's paid to do. You know,
fair enough.
He's paid to keep the ball. He's paid to keep the ball out the back of the net. However he does it,
great save.
He does it. Oh, listen, it was outstanding. It wasn't even just a great save. It's one of those that will be in a collection of fantastic saves. When you see these compilations on YouTube, etc., it will be in one of those collections. And I dare say that it will be in the final, probably 5 or 6 for save of the season.
And not just that, but in context of the match situation at that point, they score and it makes it 2-2. Oh, mate, does that ever give them a boost?
Oh, listen, the fans yesterday, the home fans were quite shocking. No.
It's a bit like a Gonzo with right backs.
The Villa fans, whenever Villa got or did something well or it looked good, the Villa fans got right behind them and it gave them a little boost for a minute or two. And if they could have kept that kept that up with the fans being behind them like they were, that whole game the outcome of that game could have been incredibly different after that save. If he hadn't have made that save and that's in the back of the net, that whole game's a different scenario because the crowd are up, the players are up, and shit, we've got a game on our hands. As it was, we did enough to keep nullifying them after, 2 minutes or so to keep the fans out of the equation. And to answer Tommy's question, it's not that I don't like him. It's just that I think we've got a better, younger, more suitable number one.
But Fabianski's not doing a bad job, though. I mean, just because we've got, he's doing a good job.
He is, but they're two different. Like I've said it before, I like the way that Areola commands his 6-yard box.
Fair.
I like the way I like his distribution. I like the way he commands, the confidence he breeds with the players in front of him, knowing that they've got this guy behind them that will command that box. It is, listen, you ain't fucking coming in. This is my house kind of thing. Whereas Fabianski doesn't necessarily like to come off his line a great deal. And it just annoys me at times. So it's not that I don't like him. I just think that Areola's the better option.
You think he's a better option? That's fair enough. We move forward to the 69th minute. We got awarded a free kick. Who took it? You're sitting there thinking, is it going to be Cresswell? Is it going to be... Up steps Declan Rice. And
by the way,
hit that properly. And I tell you what, if it wasn't for Martinez pulling off a really good save, Declan Rice gets another goal, and that would have been game over at that point. Obviously, we later got a third and a fourth, as we know, but at that moment in time, I sensed that the Villa at that point had their little spell during the match where they'd got a little bit of a foothold, and this was sort of like the start of it starting to come a little bit back into our favour, I sensed. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, like I say, that was a little bit of a concern of mine, Ken, actually. But the geezer was 6'7", so you kind of understand why he didn't beat him in here. I think we kind of, I won't say we held on, but we soaked the pressure up really well. We kind of dealt with any trouble that they were going to give us, and then we just played out. And don't get me wrong, the scoreline was flattering at the end. It's not lie. I think 3-1 would have been a fair scoreline, just because it's what I said would be the score. But I thought 3-1 would have been a fair scoreline on the way that both teams have played. We did dominate, and I just think 4-1 is a very bit like the Spurs Man U game. It's a very flattering scoreline, and certainly doesn't do the game justice. 4-1, for us, didn't do it justice.
Well, there was another incident that took place about 10 minutes later in the 79th minute. I think it was Tommy that referenced Marvelous Nakamba doing his his rolling
wanker.
Rolling. I mean, look, it was two guys. It was a loose ball. They're both coming steaming in for it. They've collided. It's one of those. It was a 50-50. They're both hurt. I've got no doubt about it. They were both hurt. Nakamba, in my opinion, was trying to
listen. Don't sugarcoat it, Rob.
He was trying to even the score. He was trying to get Fornal sent off.
Yeah, listen. Don't. In my opinion, the geezer was an arsehole. Let's not dick around.
Oh, it was like, what the hell is this? Give him an Oscar.
Well, mate, like I sat there, right, and I don't know if I've mentioned I used to play at a decent level.
Doesn't like to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen.
These are 50-50s, and these happen all over the country, all over the world, at all levels of football. That if you pull out, you're getting hurt, and you're getting seriously hurt. Now, neither of these players pulled out, and I've got the utmost respect for both of them up until the millisecond after the collision. All right, the millisecond after the collision, because when he started flopping around like a wet fish out of water, I got really pissed off because there was no way that he was hurting that.
In my opinion.
If you look at Fornals in that situation, he laid there, he got hurt, and it was job done. He laid there, he was hurt. There was no fucking bouncy like my dog scratching its arsehole across the carpet, kangarooing down the bloody thing. Hang on, what do you want? Give me a kiss, quick.
This is live. Yeah, I'm guessing this is Logan. This is Duke's little boy. There he goes. See you later, Logan.
Bye, Logan. Yeah, he's got his phone. He don't care anymore. He ain't even watching us, a little sod. Yeah, no, I didn't like the way, like I say, it was just so frustrating. Yeah. But then the worst for me, not the way the Marvellous reacted.
It wasn't very marvellous.
Was the chunky dwarf Scotsman that came running
John
in.
McGinn, yeah.
And had absolutely fucking no need to react like he did. And I make, I think it was Lanzini and Jared Bowen spot on. Get the fuck away. And then he throws himself to the floor like he'd been, like when you were at school. I was expecting to see, Declan Rice knelt down behind him and someone had pushed him over the top the way he went down.
Yeah.
I get really annoyed with, as I said during the Spurs game, the way that players get involved like they do. I mentioned Ndombele on Cresswell. Cresswell came in to try and pull Fornals away. The next thing you know, he's in a sleeper chokehold from Ndombele trying to drag him away. How about you deal with your own players, kind of thing? You haven't got to go coming in and pushing and shoving everyone else. I get in the heat of the battle and everything else, but it was just another one of those situations that, he has no right to do what he did. Don't get me wrong. I leave the kangaroos straight. I just don't like the way that the way he got involved. Standing again, another one standing over Fornals, like Fornals was in the wrong. Nothing of the sort. It's a 50-50. Just because your man decides to go flopping like a dead fish in the middle of the grass, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. Well,
and I'm glad the referee booked McGinn as well, because he didn't need to be doing what he was doing.
Yeah, McGinn, Bowen, and Fornals all booked it after that particular incident. A minute later, and I think it was Kieran mentioned it, the challenge by Matt Targett on Antonio, but the ball broke to Jared Bowen, ran through on goal, gets his shot away. Martinez made a good save, but following in was Pablo Fornals to make it 3-1 and game done. But first of all, was that a foul on Antonio? I sense I know the answer, but I've got to ask the question. Was it a foul on Antonio? And your thoughts on the goal?
Listen, it was not only a foul on Antonio, but half of me was expecting to see the referee bring it back and send him off for dangerous play, because he loses the header and he doesn't just leave it as it was. He wraps one of his arms. I actually thought he was turning it into the RKO Randy Orton style, to be honest with you.
I thought he was going to pull out a Stone Cold Stunner myself.
Mate, it was a combination of that and the RKO, to be fair, and it was awful. And again, it comes back to the one with Courtney Hawes. It's endangering the safety of an opponent, because there's no way of not knowing that Antonio's not coming down and landing awkwardly and breaking his neck. It was fucking awful. It is another red card. It is dangerous play, but he's allowed the game to progress. Bowen hasn't stopped to claim for the free kick. He hasn't stopped to lose his shit and go up to, and start pushing and shoving players. He's got his head down. He's carried on now. I was calling for the pass a bit earlier, to be honest with you, because you can see more watching it on the telly than what you are when you play it. and he's not seen him. So he's taken the shot. And I have to say, it was a great shot and a fantastic save from Martinez. He's not pushed it far enough away. You know, when you talk about goalkeepers making the saves, he's not pushed it far enough away from the
didn't get enough on it.
A bit like part of my complaint about Fabianski is against Brentford. Fabianski hate again. Sorry, Tom. But he's pushed it back into the danger zone, much like Martinez. Brilliant stop, and he can't really do much else because of the way it's hit. He can't get a good purchase on it to push it away. And I was over the moon after what happened with Nakamba and McGinn and everything else. I was over the moon. It was him at the back post to put that away. I think I cheered just as much for the goal as I did for the fact that it was 4 nails after everything that preceded it. But again, it's another great example of the fact that he doesn't stop running. The fact that he continued to put himself into a position where he was able to be on the receiving end of it. And a very, very good goal. Again, it was one of the situations where they're attacking and we've broke and we've got the we've got the goal from it, you know. Brilliant play. But again, wouldn't have been surprised to see the play pulled back and the and Target being sent off.
Yeah, I'm just gonna just real quickly break off because I've got someone in the live chat asking if they can come on. Name of West Ham Irons. I don't know who you are. You'll have to forgive me. We don't just let people wandering through come on because you could be anyone. You could be my mother-in-law, and I don't really want her on a live stream with me. I got to tell you. Anyway, so we'll move on. 4th goal came in the 84th minute. Put a nice little bit of gloss on it to really emphasize the point that we are fucking massive. And it was a goal by Jared Bowen, but an instrumental part in it was, I thought, Manuel Lanzini, who I thought had a really good game. Obviously coming on as a substitute, but I thought he looked really good.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I got a lot of time for Manu. I really do. I think he's a brilliant player, and I'm really upset that, you know, the injury has obviously done to him what it's done to him.
He looks like he's coming a little bit more back into it though when I see him though.
It's good to see that it does feel like he's on his way back a little bit more.
Yeah,
I think a lot of it is a confidence thing. You have that kind of injury. Speaking from experience, you have that kind of injury, and it really does put pay to what you believe you can now do as a player. It really rocks that confidence of what if it's the wrong twist or the wrong turn, or, you know, you take a crack.
Yeah, she is, Kieran.
You know,
but you know what? I tell her all the mother-in-law jokes under the sun, mate, and she takes them and she smiles.
So yeah, it's good to see that he's again finding that confidence, because the pass for the goal, Rob, was very much off balance, which I think was the reason for the pass, is because he knew he wasn't going to be able to get a shot of any kind of decent purchase. But it also shows that he had the absolute awareness that Bowen was there and onside. To be able to make that pass, have enough purchase on that pass, and to make that pass. Really, really good goal. Really good team effort. Really good build-up play. Really good layoff in the box, and a real good finish again from Bowen. I could pretty much guarantee it wasn't the only time he finished in the evening. But it was, if the song's to be believed, anyway.
Allegedly,
if the song's to be believed.
Here's a question for you: I know it was a cameo, and one swallowed is not a summer make, as the saying goes. Has Manuel Lanzini, with that cameo appearance, however, put himself in contention for the Liverpool game, if nothing else. Or maybe I think he's definitely in contention for the Ghent game, but I'm thinking of the next league game.
I think again, I'm gonna go back to the fact that the Genk game is key now to making sure that we finish top of that group.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not. Listen, I don't expect anything other than a win from the final 3 games. I said this to you when we initially were talking about Europa League. I'd expect 6 from 6. I said this, and nothing's happened that makes me think we won't. But I want him on Thursday to approach that Genk game and go, we're going to win this. We're now in a situation where we look like we're going to qualify in first place. Then start dicking around with the team for the final 2 games against Vienna and Zagreb. That's where I dick around with the side once you've got the Genk game out of the way. So
yeah,
no disrespect for Lanzini. I'd love to see him play more in a deep line role like he did against Burnley, but probably as part of a 3. So then he has the freedom to be able to move forward into that number 10 role, into the Benrahma role behind the lone striker, but then drop back into being part of a 3 when we haven't got the ball. Because I thought he was outstanding against Burnley when he
I agree.
When he first played that role. So, and again, I think he saved the club about £20 million with that performance, because we didn't feel it necessary to go out and buy a backup for Noble. I know we got Crowley on loan, but it meant with Lanzini being able to play that role as well, kind of saved us the urgency for the cash. Looking at 2 of the last few comments, I thought Benrahma had a really poor game against his own high standards. Again, this is not me bashing. This is not me bashing Benny. This isn't a tirade of hatred or anything else. This is more. This is more to do with the fact that he set himself such lofty aspirations at the start of the season with his performances, where he looked like he was going to be this world beater. And his last 3 or 4 performances have trailed off. He was hauled off by Moyes, if my memory serves, because he pulled out of a challenge on Sunday. And Moyes went, no, you know what? Fuck that shit off. Because, he's not going to put up with that. Why he pulled out of it, only he's going to be able to tell us that. But I just think from the lofty expectations that he gave us after the game against Newcastle, so on and so forth, he's been, by his own standards, poor in the last 3 or 4 games. So I agree with what Andy says. I can see him actually probably the Liverpool game, because again, as Kent says, if he can play central and the game is developing in front of him, he has a fantastic footballing brain. He really does. The fact that Messi was excited to play alongside him in the Argentinian side, and was gutted when he got the injury like he did, says a lot about the guy. Says a lot about Manuel Lanzini. So I'm kind of glad we never let him go. I know that PSG was sniffing around back in January last year and obviously the summer this year. I'm glad that Moyes has turned around and gone, no, he's ours. He's not going anywhere. He's still got a lot to offer this club. And I think now we're beginning to reap the benefits of that. I really do.
Yeah, no, that's fair. So, okay. So we win the game 4-1. I think it was a performance that I think most people in the chat have agreed. It wasn't maybe our swashbuckling best, but we've gone away from home and we've got the job done. We've scored 4 goals. That's, that's the mark of a good team, isn't it? Where you can look at it and go, actually, didn't play your best, but we won 4-1. Now, that's the mark of a good team, surely.
Yeah, I mean, listen, you constantly hear that shit being spouted by Lineker on Match of the Day and the other guys, Soccer Saturday and everything else. When they're talking about Man City when they win 1-0, hold that thought. I don't want Lingard in January. He said no last time. He can fuck off now. As far as I'm concerned, he's dead to me. I'd rather the money go elsewhere, if I'm honest with you. The 5 or 6 million would end up paying for him in January. I'd rather see it go on Declan Rice's wages. Man City, if they win 1-0 and play badly, it's a mark of a great side. This Man City side played poor, but ground out 1-0. Oh, shut up. We played poor yesterday. Again, compared to the standards that we've set ourselves this season.
Yeah, fair.
It's not that Villa were fantastic. We played poor and we stole a 1-0 win. Listen, we were poor and we got a 4-1 win because Villa weren't at the races yesterday. If we'd played like that and Villa had been at the races, this would have been a very completely different video and it would have been a very completely different scoreline as far as I'm concerned. Listen, Fresh, you know me, mate. I get splinters in my ass if I do that. So, no. It's not, listen, Kent, it's not that he doesn't improve us and adds to our squad. It's the fact that he stuck 2 fingers up at our club and went, no, I'd rather stay at United.
I think that's a little harsh, in fairness, Duke. I mean, he's a Man United fan.
Nope, but then stay at United. You made your bed, go lie in it now. And the fact that he could have been playing regular first-team football, he could have been a key player of this West Ham side that is currently sitting 4th, that is currently in for the quadruple, and yet he's decided he's going to stay and play on average about 8 minutes a game, if that. That's your choice, Sunshine. Thank you very much. I think
you're being a bit harsh. I'm not being funny. I mean, you've already said it yourself that he would improve our squad. So turning around and saying no, is that not cutting off your nose to spite your face?
No, because I'd rather use the money elsewhere.
Go on then.
That 5 or 6 million could be the difference in a signing in the summer or in January. Not being funny, we've sat here and we've spoken about Adam Hlosek, for instance. I've sung the praises and shouted his name from the rooftops in Karim Adeyemi. Now he's on Transfermarkt as an £18 million centre forward. I don't think we're going to be, if we did go in for him, I don't think we'd get him for less than 25. Might take 30, but that's where the money from Lingard would come in. And I'd rather Karim Adeyemi come into the club than someone less than, and we use the money for Lingard. But that's me. And at the end of the day, I take Kent's opinion there, and Kent is he's a very intellectual football fan. I'm not going to say he's not. He knows his stuff, and I'm certainly not going to sit here and tell him he's fucking wrong, because that's not what we do. I don't necessarily agree. Like ourselves. I don't necessarily agree with him, but I'll take his comment on board and understand where he's coming from with that. I certainly don't agree with Andy when Andy says that he could see Benrahma being sold. I don't want to see Benrahma being sold. I think Benrahma has proven so far this season that he's got all the makings and the trappings of a fantastic footballer that, can continue his development with us. But no, that'd be, for me, that's why. He kind of said he had the opportunity to join us in the summer. And he said, no, I'd rather stay here. Okay, thanks very much. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you very much for the memories. But now it's time for us to move on.
Fair enough. Okay, man of the match, Duke. It's a stupid question, isn't it?
Listen, as I said to you at the top of the show, right before we went live, anytime the man wears a West Ham shirt, other fans of other clubs can't see it. When the man puts on an England shirt and puts in a performance like he did in the European Championships final, where for me, he was man of the match before he was taking off, and England lost the game because he was taken off, in my opinion. And when he wears an England shirt, every fan of every other club want him to sign it for their club. You look at the comments underneath an England post about Declan Rice, and it's, "Oh, Dec, come play at Chelsea, your boyhood club with your best friend Mason Mount. Come to Chelsea, you're too good for the West Ham shit. Oh, you see Man United players, oh, come to us, you'll be amazing, you're better than that West Ham side, rada. He puts on a West Ham shirt, and all of a sudden he can only pass sideways, and he's not good enough. He's not considered fuck off, you morons. He was hands down, and again, not his best game in a West Ham shirt.
No.
Rob, but still good enough to take the man of the match.
Yeah.
To still pretty much have control of the entire game throughout. Didn't look out of place. And, capped the performance with a 25-yard sideways pass into the back of the net. I'm just saying.
Yeah. And I mean, we spoke about it before we went live. I agree with you. I don't think it was Rice's best game in a claret and blue shirt by a long way, but he was still the best player on that park by a country mile. Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like he's just on a different level to everybody else. Even on his, I wouldn't say a bad day at the office for him. It wasn't a bad day. Don't misunderstand me. But comparatively to some of the games that I've seen him play, it wasn't at that standard. And he's still I mean, on Sky they gave it to him. I've done the interview with Ben from Pride of Villa YouTube channel. He gave it to Declan Rice. I'm saying Declan Rice. You're saying Declan Rice. Tommy said Declan Rice. Walshy said Declan Rice. It's Declan Rice. Done.
Yeah, I mean, listen, Moyes pretty much said exactly this a couple of weeks ago, didn't he? When he said that the £100 million bargain for Declan Rice is done and dusted now.
Yeah.
Kent asked the question earlier. I think it was Kent. Do we expect to see Declan Rice sign a new contract? All day long. All day
400k a week, I'm hearing.
Listen, that's a lot of money.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money.
If you value someone in excess of £100 million transfer fee, that's what you pay them.
Listen to me. If he turns around and says, I want 400k a week, and you can put in a minimum release clause in my contract of £2.5 million.
Yep.
I'd pay him 400 grand a week tomorrow. I wouldn't even hesitate. Wouldn't even think about it. There you go. £250 million minimum release clause. Job done. Yeah. Now, I've not heard that, but obviously yourself and Andy have, and I'm not. Listen, with the kind of money that players are being paid now, Alexis Sanchez, I believe, was on something similar at United, and certainly wasn't worth that. And again, he's something else. Declan Rice is honest to God, and I don't care what other fans say about him when he wears a West Ham shirt. You know what they think about him when he puts on an England shirt.
Yep.
The Irish fans are still really salty about the fact that he decided to walk away from Ireland.
Careful. Tommy's in the chat.
No. Listen, they are. You only have to look at the Irish fans of other clubs just to see the comments that are made about it. And no disrespect to Ireland, he was never going to perform on a stage like he did in the European Championship final.
Yeah, that's a fair
That's
comment.
no disrespect to Ireland. It's difficult because as a player, you want to win things. And up until the start of this season, Declan Rice must have been wondering if West Ham were the club that he could win things with. Regardless of how last season went, he must have been thinking, can I win trophies at West Ham?
Yeah.
Must have been. Hence the reason he pressed pause on signing that new contract.
Yeah.
Now he must be looking at it and thinking, there's something special around this club.
Yeah.
Much like there was something special around Leicester when they won the league. I'm not saying we're going to win the league, but there's something special happening at our club that I've not witnessed in my lifetime. And Declan Rice is a big part of that, and he's a big part of what happens to the future. I don't disagree with what Tommy's just said there. I completely agree with what Tommy has said there. I completely agree with him. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. If you've donned the shirt at any level for your country, that's who you've picked up. Same as Ryan Giggs. Ryan Giggs donned the England shirt at schoolboys.
I'm going to stop you there because that is a common misconception. Ryan Giggs could never have played for England. He played for England schoolboys,
right?
But the only reason he played for England schoolboys is because at schoolboy, you have to go play for the country in which you go to school. Yeah.
But you see what I mean, though. The same as, you know, if you've not been called up to play in your team, then so be it. I agree. It shouldn't have happened. Now, but
that's not Declan Rice's fault. That's the rules of the game.
It's not. You know, that is what it is. But that being said, now Declan Rice, I think now understands that something special is happening at the club, and he can go on and win things with our club.
Yeah,
he can go on and listen. I know the Spurs away tie isn't what any of us would have handpicked out of that hat. If we could have picked it, certainly wouldn't have been that game.
Yeah,
we probably would have picked it if we could have had the home tie. But we can win this. We can win one of the 3 cups that we're currently in: Europa League, FA Cup, and the League Cup. And right now, right, mate, I couldn't even tell you that we have no chance of winning the league. Like, I've seen Leicester do it in my lifetime. Therefore, I'm
season after they nearly got relegated.
Right? I'm certainly not going to sit here and tell you that we can't after watching Leicester go ahead and do it. There's nothing in the form that we're in to continue playing like we're playing and getting the wins that we're getting that we can't go on and do what Leicester did a number of years ago. So I think Declan Rice will stay. I think we've got something special going on that Moyes and Nolan and the rest of the backroom guys have created. And I just think that he's going to turn down a lot of. I think he's going to put pay to a lot of noise of him leaving with a new contract. But what Andy's just said there, with the way that you listen to, you listen to Rio on on BT and you just think to yourself, fuck off, we are. At the end of the day, that literally is public tapping up. But because
they can do it because they're in the media,
But that's what I was about to say. Under the guys, listen, we all know Rio is Manchester United. We know this, regardless of whether he came out of our academy. Same as Lampard. Lampard is Chelsea, regardless of him coming out of our academy. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
All that amounts to is a public display of tapping up because he's still in Man United's pocket. Rio, of course he is. He don't give 2 shits about our club. He loves Man U and he's admitted that he loves Man U. You only have to see the shitty posts about Cristiano Ronaldo and Paul Pogba after they've had half-decent game. You don't see him posting any of that shit about Declan Rice on social media, do you? Of course you don't. What he does is he goes on BT Sport and he goes, he's the one player that Manchester United need. He could win things at Manchester United. Manchester United needs someone like him. And all the time that Declan Rice is going to be seeing this or hearing this or being tagged like in this shit on Facebook and Twitter and everything else, he's going to be going, what? What?
But he doesn't. Declan Rice doesn't look like he wants to go anywhere. This doesn't look like a guy that's unhappy. No. You see the stuff that Declan Rice is putting out. Did you see his TikTok yesterday? Yeah, that doesn't look like a guy that wants to get the hell out of here. That's for sure.
And I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm really glad that Mickey Antonio had that towel done quite tightly around his waist, because no one needed to see that. No one needed to see what he was getting his girlfriend for Valentine's Day last year. Like, seriously, bearing in mind that's what he posted on his Instagram and Twitter feed.
Cyber.
But the boys look like they're having so much fun. You know, but that comes from the team spirit that Moyes has created.
Hello.
Oh,
did you guys have a hot date arranged?
Easy. It was a lukewarm date. Okay, the weather wasn't great.
It's November in Dartford. Standard.
Morons are out. I just want to touch on a couple of the comments that have come through. So, sorry, Casey, I'll do this all the time.
No, crack on.
Tommy, winning a trophy this season, you're right, and I think this is our time to win a trophy. I think we you know, with the way that everything is right now and everything, everything that's surrounding the club at the moment, I think we can win it. Kieran, I don't think he meant the Betfair. I'm just saying. Or the Betway Cup, not the Betfair, the Betway Cup. And
we win that as well.
To Kent's comment now, if he was to go anywhere, that'd be the one place I'd be happier to see him go. I wouldn't be happy to see him go.
Yeah.
But that'd be the one place I'd be happier to see him go, because they would appreciate Declan Rice for what Declan Rice is, and that is an absolutely first-class footballer. I've got a lot of time for City fans, listening to, a lot of their comments on social media after we beat them, absolutely gutted to see us go out, but I couldn't think of a better team to go out to than West Ham.
Yeah.
The fans are amazing. They play some good football, and I really hope they win it this year. You know what? They're a great set of fans, and I think a lot of that stems from the fact that we were the only club that stuck up for them during the FIFA Fair Play thing.
Yeah.
So I've got a lot of time. There's a few that I do interact with quite often on Twitter and stuff. So I've got a lot of time for them, and they would. I have no doubt that they would appreciate Declan Rice for the player he is if he went there, and if he does have to leave and go anywhere, I'd have to say that. But yeah, mate, I yes, agreed. That'd be the only place I'd be happy to see him go, but I certainly wouldn't be happy to see him leave.
Or how about Real Madrid? I'd be happy to see him go there. Not that I want him to go. Let me just rewind. Not again, same as you. I'm not saying I'd be happy to see him go, but if he turned up at a Real Madrid, I'd be like, there'd be a great sense of pride that I'd take as a supporter of my club that we've managed to bring through an academy prospect that's playing for the biggest club in world football in terms of was it 13, 14 European Cups?
We've had that. We've had a player go to Real Madrid. I think you forget Julian Fabet. Joking aside, the reason I wouldn't want to see Declan Rice go abroad is because then we miss seeing him play week in, week out. I've been saying this for months now. But the thing is, Tommy, with the fact that we could lose 4-0 to Barcelona, is we hold the card with regards to how much we sell him for, because he's obviously in the same rules for European competitions in other countries as it is for ours. You have to have players that were trained in your country for a certain amount of years, up to a certain age. And Fornals fits that for being a Spanish a Spanish product. So much like the English players command a set fee to English clubs, Fornals would do the same thing for Barcelona. So we could turn around and go, in much the same way Declan Rice going to City or to Chelsea or United, we can sit here and command £150 million fee because there's a premium on English players for English clubs, because obviously, especially those in Europe. In Spain, it's the same thing. We can command that kind of £60-70 million fee, because if they want a young Spanish player who fits the mould of that kind of European football machine, they have to pay that, in much the same way that City paid £100 million for Grealish, or they pay £120 million for Kane, because of where they were, where they've been brought up and trained by that country. That's where they fit. So we could command that.
Yeah, but I don't think Barcelona could afford it.
Oh,
I think Fornals is exactly what Kent says. I think he's around about a 70-75 million pound player, in my opinion.
I'm looking forward to the fallout of that comment. I'm looking forward to the fallout from that comment. I think I agree with you. Listen, I agree with you and Kent. I think he's in and around the 60 to 80 million pound bracket.
Oh,
hey, look at that!
Hello,
Mwah.
That's our first one. That's our first one.
Mwah.
I don't quite know.
Simon.
Thank you very much, and it's much appreciated, Simon. You didn't have to do that. I've got no idea where that bloody money goes.
Goes into a pot, and I'm pretty sure if we log into our YouTube studio, we'll see it sitting there. It'll be quite nice later on when we log on to have a little laugh and a joke over it. Thank you, Simon. Much appreciated.
Simon, you're a gentleman. I'll take it all back. All the bad things I've said about you on the Super Six, I'll take them all back.
He doesn't. That Brilliant. Being said, then if Fornals is worth that, Souček, with regards to what he's worth to this club, Bowen, they were talking about Liverpool, weren't they? At the start of the season. For me, he commands the same sort of fee.
Danny Dyer, the older Danny Dyer won't let him go.
Well, listen, you wouldn't want to leave knowing that the Virgil Stubbing's his daughter, would you? Really? Christ Almighty! I don't think I'd be too scared, mate. I'd be too scared to walk out on that.
You're a naughty geezer.
I've seen what he can do. He really isn't. He really isn't.
he's honest. I'm sure he's a lovely guy.
He's one of them. He's one of them that likes the phrase, "Do you know who I am?"
Oh,
yeah, I do.
Really?
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Bumped
Should we get on to the Nuggets?
Bumped into him. Don't nugget me.
No. Have you got a Danny Dyer story then?
Oh, listen. Literally,
come on.
It was after Green Street had done what it'd done.
Okay.
Not Green Street. Football Factory.
Football Factory.
Sorry. It was after.
Yeah.
After Football Factory had done what it had done, and I'd gone out uptown with a few friends. And he was coming out of a VIP section as we were walking past it, and he literally walked into me, and I threw my arms up. I knew exactly who he was. I just, fuck is this geezer
How
walking
tall is
me
he?
for? He's a little bit shorter than me.
All right.
He's bordering 6 foot, if not 6 foot. And he literally turned. He walked into me because he was walking backwards. He walked into me.
Yep.
And he turned, looked me dead in the eye, smiled, and used those iconic words, "Do you know who I am?" And I replied, "Yeah, and I don't give a fuck." And I just walked away. And from that moment onwards, I don't really give two shits about the fella. I really don't. It was one of them. I've had that moment. I've had that moment at 14 years old with someone that I hold in higher regard than Danny Dyer, and that was Cass Pennant. And I walked into Cass Pennant. and I spilt the 4 beers that Cass Pennant was carrying, and I shit myself. I was 14. I shit my pants. I knew who he was. I've read the books at 14, you know.
Yeah.
And literally, he looked at me, and his exact words were, "Don't worry, kid. Come with me." And I walked back to the bar with him, and he got me the drinks. He bought another 4 pints. He bought me and a couple of my mates a drink. It was the first time I'd ever gone to West Ham with just the kids from school kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you know, there's 2 different stories of how 2 different people behave when that situation unfolds in front of them. And the fact that I'd say about 20 years later, maybe more, 20, maybe 25 years later, I met Cass again on his stall outside Upton Park, opposite on the opposite side of the road, and he was giving an interview to I think it was BBC Radio, and I went up and I shook his hand, and I spoke to him, and I went, "You probably don't remember, but," and he went, "You were the young kid that spilt my beer over me in the bowling."
He remembered, yeah.
And I was like, "Oh!" And he remembered me. And for me, that, you know, the fact that he remembered me, and I introduced him to my younger brother at the time. There's 14 years between me and my brother. And I actually said to Cass, "Oh, mate, I'd love to meet up with him again. I really would. I'd love to just meet him and talk to him again."
I think we've got more chance of getting Cass Pennant on a stream with us than we have Danny Dyer, by the sounds of things.
Without a doubt, I'd make him and Bill Gardner all day long. But I introduced my brother to him, and I actually the exact conversation with it when this is my younger brother, Cass. He's probably too young. He probably hasn't got a clue who you are, to be fair. And he looked at my brother, shook my brother's hand, and looked me in the eye and went, "It's probably best he doesn't know me for what I was, but probably remembers me for who I am now." And that meant the world to me. Just that little interaction with him. Took a couple of pictures, wished him the best. I think we bought something off of the stall, and we walked away into the ground. And I think it was one of the, you know, what is now the Betway Cup. It was one of those, one of the early season ones, and I think it was a Dutch side. I can't remember, but he was just kidding. It was a really good memory, but that just shows you, like I say, the 2 different classes of people. You got Danny Dyer, who you know, presents a TV show of, you know, world's hardest football gangs, all the rest of it, goes to these places and is surrounded by a hardcore crack SAS security team to go to these places. Whereas on the other hand, you've got someone like Grant Mitchell, whatever his name is, goes and does these.
Ross Kemp
goes away and does all of these things in the field with the army.
Yeah.
You know, goes out there on his own. You've got Danny Dyer going with a crack SAS, you know, squad of protection officers to make sure that he don't get the shit kicked out of him by, you know, a couple of Celtic fans up in Scotland or whatever. So, can't stand Danny Dyer, if I'm honest with you.
Well, that's any chance we ever had of getting him on the stream with us. That's gone for a Bert, and I think it's fair to say. Maybe we'll try for his daughter.
Who will?
Not in that way. Not in that way. On a stream.
Mr. Gates, you're married.
Didn't mean it like that. Anyway, should we go on to the Nuggets?
I'm eating nuggets. Look.
Okay, we'll go on to the Nuggets. Okay, so we have now won consecutive away league matches against Aston Villa for the first time since a run of 3 between 1965 and 1967. A little bit of history was made yesterday, Duke.
Yeah, I mean, listen, as I've said in the preview and other previews and everything else, for me, it don't matter. History was made yesterday, and that's great. But now we're making new history.
Yeah,
and
massively.
We're creating a new a new set of memories that like I say, I've not witnessed anything like this in my lifetime. I'm 43 in 2 weeks' time. And, you know, I was 18 months old when we won the FA Cup. So I've not witnessed anything like this. I was 8 years old with the boys of 86.
Yeah.
So this is something new for me. You know, the likes of Irish Tommy, I suppose. Tom, do you remember when we won the European Cup Winners' Cup? Listen, I'm joking. Gatesy does. You know, it's it's you know.
Am I allowed to call you a
amazing.
wanker? We've gone past 9. I can call you a wanker.
We've gone past 10. We're coming up on half 10. You know, we're in a situation now where we're all enjoying it. This is something novel for all of us. And there'll be many more of these kind of nuggets as the season goes on, where we're creating new sets of nuggets for next season and new bits of history for it.
Yeah. Next one. There's only 3. Aston Villa have conceded at least 3 goals in 3 consecutive league matches for the first time since December 2012 in the Premier League. They're in a world of hurt at the minute. I mean, and when I did the interview with Ben from the Pride of Villa, I said to him, I said, listen, we've been where you're at. We've gone through losing sequences. We've been sucked towards the bottom end of the Premier League table. And when you're in that spot, you just can't catch a break. It just seems that any luck you have is bad.
Listen, Villa are... I'll come back to that in a minute because there's one of my favourite scenes in that film is amazing. Villa are a good side with their fans. They're a club in much the same sort of mould as us. They've got a very hardcore working class set of fans. Evening, Scott. You know, very much like us, very passionate set of fans. Love their club dearly. And they're going through what we suffered for years right now. You know, we went through it, and we went through it as kind of recently as, you know, the last decade. You know, we had to come up out of the Championship with a playoff final against, you know, Blackpool. So we've been down there. We've had the struggles in the Premier League that end in relegation. And it's not been all that far away. So, you know, we're kind of now at a situation where I won't say it's nice to see other clubs going through it.
No, it's never nice
to see that it's nice to see that it's not us. You know what I mean? It's nice that it's not us.
But for the grace of God.
Yeah, it's nice that it's someone else, but it's not nice for them to be going through it.
Absolutely. Last nugget. We have picked up 20 points after 10 matches this season with 6 wins, 2 draws, 2 defeats, converting to 3 points per win all time. Only in 1975-76 have we earned more points at this stage of a top flight campaign with 21. Again, a little bit of history, although you have to adjust because obviously in 75-76 it was 2 points for a win, not 3.
Yeah, but again, that had every chance of being a better tally, but for the 2 games where we converted a draw into a loss against Brentford with a kind of piss poor goalkeeping error. Yes, I'm going back to Fabianski again, and an unfortunate thing with Mark Noble. You know, those 2 defeats that are in there, Rob, are
both in virtually the last minute of the game.
Yeah. So, you know, you kind of look at that and you think to yourself, well, we could have been a couple of points better off.
Yeah.
If Noble converts that penalty and we don't concede that pissy, you know, the second goal to Brentford, it's 2 extra points on the board, and all of a sudden we're clear third.
Yeah.
If we hadn't, or even one of those games, we would have been clear third right now. So, I mean, huge progress has been made. Let's not mess around. Like I was saying a few moments ago, we're normally the ones down where Villa, down where Norwich, down where these teams are at this point. We're normally really struggling at this point. And the fact that we're not, and the fact that we're in with a shout of being in the top four at Christmas rather than in the bottom four at Christmas and New Year.
Yeah.
Blows my mind, mate. Absolutely blows me away. And I'm itching for the rest of this season. Absolutely. Mate, I can't wait for the next game to come along. Be it Europa League, be it League Cup, be it League, FA Cup. I don't know, mate. You under 23s in the Papa John's. I don't give a shit now. Just give me a West Ham game. Mate, I'm loving life at the minute as a West Ham fan. Loving it.
Any final thoughts before we wrap it up, big fella?
Yes. I want to just say thank you. As you all know, we hit the 1,000 a couple of days ago. What we do isn't possible without you people. And there's 23 of you in the chat on the live. It went up to 30 a few moments ago. It's amazing. When me and Rob started this back in February, and I'm probably touching on old grand here, but we never expected it to be what it is now. Let's be honest, Rob, did we? It was
no.
It was I wouldn't say it was something just done off of a whim, but it was done kind of off of a whim. It was we spoke about it, didn't we? But it was kind of just, oh fuck it, let's go.
Let's have a go, see where it takes us.
8 months down the line, and here we are at 1,000, and Scott comes in with a first super chat, and in no way, shape, or form. That's Simon. Sorry, in no way, shape, or form am I. Sorry, in no way, shape, or form am I sitting here expecting. Who's Rob? Sorry, Casey. In no way, shape, or form am I expecting anyone to do the super chats or anything else. That's not what it is. Even Fo, it's not about that for us. What I want is to continue doing what we do for you guys. You guys have the interaction in the chat.
Yeah.
And it just carries on. It just carries on. And, I just long may it continue. And long may it continue that we have the good things to talk about. I think, Rob, you and me, sorry, Gatesy, you and me did this right. We did this right, at the right time to start a YouTube channel.
Jack Durrant, how are you, Jack? Been a while. Yes, indeed. Rest in peace, Bill Jenkins.
Indeed.
Yeah. Fo, yep, he's in the house. So, yeah, as I say, old school West Ham fans are probably, like I say, like you and I, just still wondering, well, it's going to go wrong at some point. But, we need to recalibrate our standards, if you will, in that respect. This is a completely different, unique set of players, a unique coaching system, a unique manager, in my opinion. It comes from him, and it filters all the way down. And what we're achieving at the minute, it's the best I've ever seen. I've got grainy memories of 85, 86. This is the best that I can remember, seriously. And I said it, I think it was last week I did a stream, and I made the statement that it wouldn't shock me if next season we played Champions League football. Now, whether that was by virtue of finishing in the top four in whichever position, or whether it was by winning the Europa League, it wouldn't shock me. Because consider what you said earlier. Leicester won the Premier League. Leicester won the Premier League. The season before they won the Premier League, they almost got relegated. Last season, we finished 6th. So the gap between 6th and the top 4,
winning
if you
it,
wanted to, or winning it, if you wanted to extend it out further, and what Leicester achieved is that gap is much, much smaller to bridge. So don't tell me it's impossible, Please don't tell me it's impossible. I'm not saying we're going to play Champions League football, but you get what I'm saying. We finished sixth last season.
No.
It would be a natural progression for us to sort of bridge that gap, in my opinion.
Listen, all I'm saying is I'm going to ride this till the wheels fall off.
Damn right.
I'm going to ride this until the wheels fall off, and I'm going to enjoy this roller coaster. It's emotional. I'll be honest. I had tears in my eyes when the penalties was over. When the penalties was over and we beat City, I had tears in my eyes. My young son, though you saw him earlier, came in and was laughing at me because he turned around and said, "Dad, it's not even the final yet." And I couldn't help but think how I will be if, touch wood, we get to the final and we have that shot at that first trophy in 40 years, 41 years now, 42 it will be. Christ, I was crying the fact that we beat City on penalties. They were tears of joy. I wasn't sobbing my heart out, but I had tears in my eyes. I'm not going to lie. But I'm just going to enjoy it. Just listen, we've gone through so much shit over the years as West Ham fans. Qualifying for Europe and not being able to play in Europe back in the 80s because of the ban, the European ban.
Yeah.
Getting into Europe and losing to teams like Donzale and Astragugu and shit like
Manny Omayinmi.
Yeah, that kind of all that crap that went on. We've suffered long enough, so let's just enjoy it. Let's not go at each other as fans, just because someone reckons that Ben Rama's shit and he ain't going to be any good, or just
Steady.
because it's not. We're all on the same side here, regardless.
Yeah.
Regardless, we're all on the same side of the fence because we're West Ham fans. We're over here together. Let's keep our energy focused on the team and what we're doing.
Cheers,
rather
Wally.
than turning on each other.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I'm just going to come back to this one because is it a better team than 99 who finished 5th? Right. Are they better individuals than we had in 99? No. Is it a better team? Yes.
That was the question then.
Yeah, I think the 99 team, when you consider it had Rio, it had Frank Lampard, it had Joe Cole, it had Michael Carrick, it had Trevor Sinclair, it had Paolo Di Canio. Individually, I think that was, the players were better players individually, in my humble opinion. But the team, this one pisses all over it, in my opinion.
Kieran's comment. I think that's key to what's going on. Yeah. Our team don't look like they're just at a job. Our team look like they're enjoying everything they do. You can see from Ben Johnson's goal and the celebration, the camaraderie, the togetherness of it all. They took the piss out of him in the changing room, and he's gone, you know what? Fuck it, let's have some fun with it. And they've gone out and had fun with it. You look at Antonio with his celebrations and the way the players all get involved. You look at Lingard last year with a band. It's the players are enjoying themselves, and rightly so. They should go out there and enjoy themselves. I look at teams with better individuals, and I see them playing shit.
Yeah.
And this is why I come back to, do these players get in our sides? When we spoke about the Villa team and the Spurs team and everything else.
Cheers, folks.
There's a reason these other players don't get into our team, because they won't fit. And this team that we've got right now, with Moyes at the helm and Nolan and Nevin and everyone else that's part of that backroom staff, it's a chance of being something special in the history of this club. It's the chance of like Kent's just said there, blowing away the achievement of 99, blowing away the achievement of 86. You know, we're going to be talking about the boys of 21, 22. If we do have the kind of back-to-back seasons that we're having from last year into this one, in 20 years' time, we're going to be telling, in 20 years' time, I'm going to be having a conversation with Logan at 27, and there's me going, oh, remember the time when West Ham, oh, they put the, oh my word, it was amazing. You know, I'm going to be having that conversation with him. He's going to be 27 years old, hopefully witnessing some even now in the next 20 years, experiencing some absolutely fantastic memories going forward. But I can say to him at 27 years old, in 20 years' time, yeah, I remember when all that started. I remember the year that all that began. It started in, 2020, 21, and it just kept going, boy. And I was there. This was there. This started. Hopefully, he'll be taking over from this when you and me are done. He'll continue this one in 20 years' time if we're still going. But hopefully, all of this will still be going, and we'll still have just some great memories from it, mate. But we can say we were there. And I'm hoping that's where this goes.
We might have 2,000 subscribers by then. You never know your luck.
Hey, listen, I'm not sitting back now. I want 2,000 subscribers before this time next year.
Cool, blimey. Setting the bar high. But you never know. We got 1,000. Who knows? Who knows? Anyway, one thing we want to bring your attention to, as always, guys, don't forget the campaign for Isla is still ongoing. This is still a young girl. This is still a family that needs our help. You know the score. She's 7 years of age. She has neuroblastoma, and they can't get the treatment in this country. All of the things that day to day they need to keep their life comfortable, keep her life comfortable, and everything else that pertains to the situation at hand. There's a Just Giving link there. All we're asking you to do is to copy and paste this. It's in the description below YouTube and Facebook. It's on all of our stuff. It's there. You can copy it, paste it, put it on all of your social media platforms. Get the message out there. Keep the momentum behind this campaign. If you're in a position where you can put a couple of quid into the pot, you've got a Just Giving link there. No donation is too small. The more the merrier. And as always, I thank you from there for listening and helping us out and helping the family out. So that is an opportune moment. I think we're going to end it, Duke. And what are we? What are we, Duke? Tell me.
Listen, I'm not even ashamed to say it anymore, even in public. We're fucking massive, and I don't care who knows. I will tell everyone that I bump into now, because you know what? I'm convinced now that this is the beginning, Gatesy. This is something special. And, we've not, as Fo's saying there, this is a special group of players. This is a special backroom staff set up. And, at the end of the day, let's just see where it takes us, because I've got a feeling we're going a long way with this.
I think it's a team, as I say, I make the comparison to the 99 team that finished 5th and got to the Intertoto, won the Intertoto and all the rest of it. And I say that the superior players were in the 99 team, but the superior team is the same team of today. This team is greater than the sum of its component parts.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt. And I think that's what makes it even more special, Rob, is that you don't have a standout individual superstar, in this squad of players.
I think there's one.
You've got Declan. No, well, I was about to say you've got Declan Rice, but he's so down to earth about just how good he is, and he will not put himself in front of the rest of the team. If you notice when he gets interviewed, they talk. He always bigs up the rest of the players that are around him. He won't be me. You look at interviews with Cristiano Ronaldo.
Oh yeah.
It's different. You look at Paul Pogba. It's different. This team. You go back to, like you say, 99. Paolo Di Canio. was a star of that team. Frank Lampard was a star of that, etc., etc. Yet here you are, and you're going, Jared Bowen's a star. Well, no, I think he's, like you say, a key component. Is Saeed Benrahma? He's a key component. Declan Rice is a star, but also a key component. So there's not, everyone's important in their own right.
Yeah.
And I just think it's mind blowing. And like I say, I'm really excited to see where this goes. And as Paddy Power said, it took David Moyes to manage a big club to make him realise that he could manage a big club.
I think that's a good note to end it on, Duke. And don't forget, guys, drop a like on the stream, subscribe to the YouTube channel. What they got to do with that bell again, Duke?
I told you at the start, Gatesy, molest that bell.
Molest that bell. Come on, you Irons.
Come on, you Irons.